So in this particular program, I'm going to teach you a 6-chakra system, which is basically the same as a 7-chakra system, except that what's commonly known as the crown chakra is not actually a chakra, because according to the original texts on the 6-chakra system, the crown is not a chakra, it's actually just a terminus. It's an end of one energy channel rather than a plexus of energy channels. We will go more into the specifics of the 7-chakra system in the first guided practice for this program. Now, some other basic aspects of Shakti Shaiva Tantra that we need to cover are mantra, yantra, and devata. So there are these 3 aspects of divinity which are used or utilized in tantric worship. We've already talked quite a bit about mantras, and we've meditated on mantras. Mantras are words of power, and a mantra is basically a vibratory expression of a deity's energy. So it's an energetic aspect of some aspect of the divine. A yantra is a geometric diagram. So there are a lot of different yantras that correspond to different deities, or different, mantras basically. So there's an energetic aspect in the mantra, and there's a geometric aspect, a visual aspect in the yantra. And it is said that there were sages, there were seers, rishis, who had these visionary experiences, these experiences of the pashanti level of speech, where light and sound fuse. So the mantra and the yantra that are correlated with a particular deity, a particular aspect of the divine, were revelations to enlightened beings, who then were able to translate this synesthetic fusion of sound and light into a particular mantric phrase and a particular geometric diagram. So it's like the sound and light have been separated out into these 2 different aspects. And then in different forms of Tantra, you can consecrate a yantra, a geometric diagram, by focusing on it in a particular way and then repeating mantras. So it's like fusing the visual, physical diagram with the energy of the mantra. In this particular program, we are going to be using our own bodies as a yantra. So that means that we are not focusing on external geometric diagrams so much, but instead we are considering the human body as a microcosmic expression of this universal principle. And we are going to be honoring the body and divinizing the body through these different tantric practices in order to purify ourselves to serve as vessels for this divine wisdom and compassion. And the specific practice in which we will be consecrating the body as a yantra is called nyasa, which means placing. And it is a practice in which different points in the body are charged with a mantra, basically. We'll go more into that in the practice video. Now, the third aspect of a form of divinity, of a deity, is devata. So there's a mantra, which is the vibratory expression of a deity's energy. There's a yantra, which is a symbolic, geometric diagram. And then there's a devata, which is an anthropomorphic deity. It's a mythological being who is associated with a particular mantra and a particular yantra. So for example, there's Shiva, there's Shakti, there's Ganesha, there's Krishna. There are, all these different deities within Hinduism who are ascribed mythological attributes in order to make them more relatable to us as human beings. Now, another central aspect of Tantra within virtually all forms of Tantra is the emphasis placed on the guru. The guru is a spiritual teacher. And sometimes that word can just be used to mean any teacher, but within a traditional tantric context, it actually refers specifically to a fully enlightened being who has such profound spiritual wisdom and insight that they are able to transmit this state of awakening to their students, in part or in full, depending on the student. There's a lot of emphasis placed on the guru in Tantra because there are a lot of practices that work with different energies that need to be directed and utilized in a particular way in order to facilitate this process of harmonization with the macrocosm that an enlightened guru can be very helpful at guiding people through in a skillful and effective manner. Whereas if you try to do it without any guidance at all, it is sometimes very easy to make mistakes and to end up causing yourself more trouble than you need to. However, it should be noted that this fully awakened guru is an ideal that is often not reflected in embodied human teachers very well. Personally, in my life, I have met a lot of excellent spiritual teachers who were dedicated practitioners and who had plenty of training and insight and compassion, but who were not perfect. And this is like me. I'm not a perfect liberated being either. I'm not a guru in that sense. I'm just a guide, a teacher who has some experience and is qualified to teach from that experience, but who still has more to learn, basically. And all of my best teachers are in a similar position. In this lifetime, I've never met a fully enlightened, liberated being who I would call a guru. So this presents an issue because I have received lineage transmission from several different teachers. So there's this divine energy which flows through a tantric lineage from a student to a teacher, regardless of whether that teacher is 100% perfect. But in order to become fully liberated, oftentimes you need guidance from a fully liberated being. But it's really difficult to find a fully liberated being, so we do what we can with what we have, and then as we begin to practice, eventually our devotion to Tantra will draw a liberated being to us. And this can take years, it can take decades, it can take lifetimes. It's just a matter of beginning to move in that direction, and then when you're ready for a fully liberated being to guide you, then one will appear. So without a perfect human guru, there are a few different options, and if you have a guru, feel free to continue to honor that person and to follow their teachings, and as long as they are, following ethical standards and embodying compassion and wisdom, then that's fine. But there are a lot of people who claim to be gurus and then who, instead of helping their students, end up abusing them and hurting people. So that is something to be cautious of and aware of when approaching people who claim to be enlightened. Now, personally, while I have several teachers that I'm highly grateful for and that I've learned a lot from and who have provided me with the practices that we are doing in this program, I revere a being named Dattatreya as my guru until such a time when I meet a fully liberated, embodied human being who can act as my guru in this lifetime. Dattatreya is a semi-mythological deity figure. He is simultaneously an incarnation of Brahma, the creator, of Vishnu, the preserver, and of Shiva, the destroyer. So he combines these seemingly contradictory aspects of reality within himself. And according to his legend, Dattatreya himself did not have a human guru at all. He was incarnated, born, and grew up, and he never found an enlightened being. But he instead had 24 gurus who were all beings or forces existing within nature who did not realize at the time that they were acting as Dattatreya's guru, but when he saw these things in nature, like he saw the sun, he saw the moon, he saw water, you know, he saw an elephant. When he saw these things, the experience of interacting with these natural forces provoked these awakening experiences within Dattatreya and gave him these deep spiritual insights, which led to his enlightenment. So it is said that if you are practicing yoga or Tantra without a human guru, then you can honor Dattatreya. And Dattatreya teaches me to look to nature for guidance. So the last thing that we are going to cover in this talk has to do with the purification of the elements, which is called Bhuta Shuddhi. Bhuta is a word which in this context means elements, meaning the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, and space. And Shuddhi means purification. So within Tantra, there are a lot of different practices which are aimed at purifying the elements within oneself. This is because the life force, the Kundalini, the power of self-identification is enmeshed in this individual, limited body-mind complex, which is composed of the 5 elements. And because it's identifying with these 5 elements, the Kundalini Shakti can't become free from the limited form to identify with this universal principle. And through this tantric practice of purifying the elements, then the power of self-identification can begin to become disentangled from the 5 elements and then reunite with this universal primordial energy, consciousness, and bliss. There are a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of different ways that this can be done. But within the 7 chakra system that we're using, the 5 elements are mapped onto the 5 lower chakras. So there's earth at the base, at the perineum. There's the water chakra behind the pubic bone. There's the fire chakra behind the navel. There's the wind chakra in the heart center. There's the space chakra in the throat. And then there's the 3rd eye, which is associated with mind. And there's the crown, which is not a chakra, but which connects us to universal consciousness in this 7 chakra system. And through a particular form of mantra sadhana, of spiritual practice involving repeating a mantra a lot, there is a particular set of practices that can be accompanied by this mantra repetition, which helps to purify the elements within one's body. So let's say that you are repeating a mantra for a deity such as Lakshmi, this goddess of abundance and prosperity and beauty. And in order to purify oneself and to purify the effect, the vibration of the mantra within oneself, that you can connect with the goddess more fully, you can undertake a sadhana, a systematic spiritual discipline, in which you set out to repeat Lakshmi's mantra 1 million times, following a specific set of rules and guidelines. Now, if you are able to follow all of the guidelines that I'm going to outline and do 1 million repetitions of Lakshmi's mantra, then eventually that kind of sadhana will lead to what's called mantra siddhi, which means the perfection of the mantra, which is a visionary experience of union with the deity, where the deity comes to you, or it comes through you, comes out from within you, basically. And you are united with the wisdom and power and bliss and consciousness of that deity.